I got really good at sales and psychology and persuasion, and that is what I do in my videos a lot. So I've grown up around cameras, but I never asked my dad to teach me. And that's not because I didn't value it. I just, at the time, I was not interested in it. I'm also the guy that made the captions that everybody copied. It's been perfected by my team, but it started with me. It's cool to see that I can use apps and get the same subtitles that we used to do word by word, one by one, that would take 2 hours per video.
Hello, I'm Dustin, PolyInnovator. Today I'm talking with Ryan Magin. He is a personal brand expert, content creator, super connector, founded a very successful short-form content agency, BMXer, and he's a viral scaler of attention. Welcome to the PolyTools Spotlight.
Oh, dude, thanks for having me. And I appreciate coming on. And I appreciate you accommodating me because I get pretty busy. I was like, fuck it, man. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversations at the Think Media event. And to be fair, I think the best part of me going to that event was meeting you and then, the guys from Opus, because I was very vocal about what I didn't like about Opus. And I think that you guys needed to hear that. And I needed to. And Connor, I was like, show me a million video. And he did. And I was like, all right.
Fair enough.
I just like seeing proof. And I'm just like, all right, well, I've seen, I just saw a 4-minute mile. So let me see if I can go do that 4-minute mile. And, I signed up shortly after that, and I was like, and we've been experimenting with it, and then we can talk about that. But like, I love content. I love making videos. I do work with a lot of really cool people. And, just for the audience's perspective, as far as I know, I started the first short form content agency because nobody cared about it when I started TikTok back in 2020 when it was about to get banned when Trump was president. So I went all in on TikTok then. I'm still all in on TikTok. I love the platform. I love the culture. I obviously post everywhere because you'd be stupid not to. But TikTok has always been my focus. And, just for some stats for credibility, on TikTok currently, I think I'm at almost 170 million views on my personal account. On Instagram, I think I'm just shy of 100 million views. I might be over it now. I haven't checked it. These are via Buzzlytics, and anybody can go fact check me if they want to. Type my account in, you'll see it. And then on YouTube Shorts, I've gotten like 60 million views to date. And that's over the course of about 2 years, which I'll take that. I think it's pretty fucking awesome.
That's a short time.
Yeah, I have like a collective, like 500,000 followers across all the platforms. And, that's just my personal stuff. And I honestly put about 1/3 of the effort into my personal account as I do for all of our clients. And the ones I can mention that we work with, I currently do Grant Cardone's TikTok. I work with Modern Wisdom podcasts. In the past, I've worked with Jordan Michaela Peterson. I've currently work with Brandon Carter, which is King Keto. I just started with Mr. Ballin. He's a new client of ours. I'm trying to think. I have 18 clients. We post 4,000 videos a month to the platforms. It's a lot.
It's insane.
Yeah. And the company, which is called Viral Edits, which is my short form agency, we've grossed, obviously not all profit to date, almost like $2.9 million. I've averaged $1 million a year since about 6 months after starting the company. I attribute that to I had really good, talented team members that kind of found me early on. And also I had a really vast network because prior to that, I was a YouTuber who taught guys how to dress better to get laid. And before that, I was a affiliate marketer where I built little 5-page websites that ranked highly in Google and sold affiliate products. And then before that,
500 of them?
Yep, I had almost 500 of them at one point. And before that, I was a professional BMX racer who created a BMX training DVD to sell on the internet because I read the 4-Hour Workweek and I thought I was going to get rich. All of that led up to who you see today on TikTok, which is nobody really cared about any of that until TikTok. And I went all in on TikTok, and all in for me was 1 video a day for 90 days. And in that 90 days, I achieved about 50,000 followers. And this is right during the heart of COVID. Shortly after that, like when that started happening for me, I immediately said, I know that there will be a need for an agency that does this for people. I don't know how soon that's going to be a need because, again, nobody cared about TikTok like we were discussing prior to the recording. And I was fortunate because of my network. 2 of my good close friends who have really big YouTube followers let me start clipping their content and posting it to TikTok. And both of them got 100,000 followers in the first 90 days. I then went on to work with Adley Stump, which is Adley Kinsman now. She's one of the biggest she is the biggest prank girl on Facebook. She averages 1 billion views a month across her channels. And I got her 1 million followers on TikTok in 6 months. And then once I had that, we landed Grant Cardone and then 2 other very big entrepreneurs that like the color purple came on board, and we are the reason that they are who they are today. I'll let you fill in the blanks on who you think that is. And then it was just a snowball effect. I worked with Ryan Pineda for almost 2 years. I worked with Jordan and Michaela Peterson for about 6 months, and they got purchased by Daily Wire. So I've helped, I'm also the guy that made the captions that everybody copied. It's been perfected by my team, but it started with me getting mad I got upset at the deaf community because they were commenting on my videos every time I posted a video saying, please put subtitles on your videos. And I was just like, one day I was like, don't you guys have an app for that? And I commented that, and I
got in trouble.
understand that may make me look bad, and I apologize. And I apologize to the deaf community by making the subtitles that, well, they became the Hermosi reel.
Yeah. Well, and that was one of the first styles that Opus Clip came out with too. They copied the Hermosi and even Ali Abdaal style.
Yeah,
and I think that
we worked with
adding captions
with Ali for a little bit too, but he wanted more of he wanted more control over everything that was happening. It just made sense for him to keep it overseas in Europe, and I'm glad he did, because he made his fucking videos are badass. Like, we had this style, but there's many ways to go viral.
Yeah, and he was one of the premier productivity YouTubers. I don't know how I got him on my other show, but I interviewed him early on the Polycast as well. And it was just interesting talking to a lot of YouTubers, and that was kind of the mindset behind this show. Whereas maybe a third or a fourth of all my guests on the Polycast would be content creators as well. And I would talk to them about content. We'd start getting into the weeds and like talk shop about it. But that was only a fourth of the conversation. I was like, I really want more of that. And I love talking shop. You and I bonded over that literally over the conference. We literally just started right into it. I don't think we really had much of an introduction. We just like, oh yeah, content.
Yeah, you were just right there. And I was like, oh, you want to talk content? Cool. And we kind of shared similar frustrations, which is obviously a good way to bond with people if you don't know them, if you share a similar frustration. And, it was just cool to get different perspectives. And also for the fact that you were there representing Opus, I was like, man, because I really want AI to work, and I want it to work really well, because like I would just save so much money. And I say save, and I mean, selfishly, I would be profiting a lot more money if AI worked better. So I'm a fan of AI. I just don't, like we say, I think it's 80% there. I think it's still got a little bit to go.
Yeah.
But, I'm glad to see it's progressing, because, it is. You can't stop it now. So it's like, it's cool to see that I can use apps and get the same subtitles that we used to do word by word, one by one, that would take 2 hours per video. It's cool to see, the apps that they can just spit that out in like a minute and a half. It's like, holy shit.
Well, and maybe for you, like maybe not using Opus to find the clips per se, but you use your clip finders to do it, and then just drop it into Opus for the captions and for the B-roll, and just kind of make it like just easier that way for you. Yeah,
no, either way, but one thing, like I was sharing, like the strength of Opus I see for like the average person right now is just it allows you. It's like it's relatively lower price, so it's not expensive. It's like, and it is like kind of an employee, and like the way that I see us using it, and the way that I've tested it, I still have a lot more to test with using it. Is just I dump a podcast into it, I let Opus do its thing, and then I look and see, of all these clips, which ones do I think are good, and then I can restructure them, or at least I have the exact time code now on the file to where I can see, oh, Opus cut it a little too short. I want maybe this more, but it's faster because I can see it. It's like I know exactly where that clip came from and how to find it, and that saves a lot of time. So for that, Opus is 100%. Like shit works, So it's
well. And before we get into the questions here too, I just didn't want to go too much on attention to Opus, because this show isn't an Opus show. It's more about us, but it's one of those things where Opus is so fascinating. As a solo creator, I was talking to you before this about the show. I don't have the bandwidth to be finding all the clips, and so it helped me out quite a bit, even though they're not all perfect clips. I would try to get at least a dozen per episode, and I would usually get 2 dozen, I think, from Opus that I felt were doable. Maybe not viral worthy, but they were doable. And I've been posting them at least like 10 a day across all these different platforms. And one thing that well is that there's no really good scheduling tool out there, especially when you're doing this number of clips. Yes. I'm working with one to help with a bulk upload, but most of them suck. Repurposed actually built a bulk upload feature for me, and a new link is really good, but it's not really good for bulk. Like none of them are good for bulk really just yet. And not to mention too, one thing that I think you've mentioned on shows is that we don't necessarily know how they might
it,
hinder your progress?
I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist on that, but like we've just worked with a lot of people, and I've had people come to me and and I look at their account and they're like, Ryan, why are my views really bad? And and I look at their videos and I'm like, your videos aren't bad. Like they could
Yeah.
be slightly better, but they should be getting more than like 200 views. And then I'm like, who's editing them? And they're like, oh, I have an editor and a VA in the Philippines. I said, are they posting them? And they said yes. Every time that I've got this, they say yes. And I'll either do two things. I'll either be like, stop having them post. You take over posting, start posting manual. Let me know in like 7 days if things haven't changed. And I shit you not, that's always worked. Or we just take over the account and sure
Go
enough,
for them or not.
I want to say that from a spectrum of like, I don't necessarily think my team was doing a whole lot better than was already being posted. It was clearly the definitive thing was we use manual posters. I mean, I know we talked about that for a while. That's a really hard, when you're putting content up at scale, even for a single creator, if you're doing 6 to 10 videos a day, like it takes on average, let's say 10 minutes to come up with a caption and post a video for every platform. So you're doing that 6 times a day. That's 60 minutes. That's an hour of just posting videos per day. Like, I mean, that shit adds up.
Well, and Facebook's scheduler is pretty crappy, and that includes Instagram. TikTok's bulk schedule is really glitchy, so you have to be careful. And you can only do like 15, I think, a day or something like that. Maybe 15 at a time at the max or something weird. And then I found out the YouTube was 100 a day, but you can do 15 at a time. And that one is actually not that bad. I use Repurposed.
YouTube is by far the best one. I've also found, like, and I don't know if this is, again, like, I'm just, like, we see a lot of data, like I was saying, like, we post a lot of videos. And if you auto link Instagram to Facebook goes viral. Like, if the video is meant to do well, it will do well. But if you post from Facebook and auto link to Instagram, it kills the views on both the platforms.
That's fascinating.
And I've seen this on 3 different clients that had their Facebook link to their Instagram, not the other way around, because they were using Facebook Business Manager. Like, they were using it for ads, so it made sense. And yeah, like, we just made that switch and shit started going well, getting views. So there's always little things. And again, like, I don't know if that's set in stone. I just like to be safe, and it's not much effort. It does take time, but it's not much effort to do them individually. And I'm like, do them individually, because if we can do it managing like 18 different accounts and 18 different platforms, a single person can do it.
I find that I post the ones to YouTube manually, but I started using Repurposed. Like I said, they built that bulk schedule feature for me. I don't mind as much them scheduling to TikTok and Instagram and Pinterest, of all places, is actually one I focus on. I don't do Facebook, because Facebook is a little bit wonky when it comes to that. Like you're saying, I don't really care for it anyways. But Instagram is one of those things where
Facebook crush, though, man. There was a time, it's not as great lately, but I was averaging like 5 million views a month on Facebook. And I also had the most, because they were paying for Reels. I think I had like 1 month, I got like 3,000 just from Facebook, which was like, to me, that's just extra money. And I was like, yo,
right. Yeah.
Like, the irony was, like, Instagram was like $500 and it was the same videos. And then Facebook was like $3,000. And I'm like, it's the same platform, guys. Like, so
yeah,
just something mindful of, like I do think Facebook is a viable, like, it's just slept on, like, but lately it hasn't been as great for me. So I don't know if that was just I was in a season, I got lucky.
Before we got into the questions, I just wanted to share this little win with you, because I'm posting so much now, thanks to Repurposed and YouTube just manually. My YouTube channels now have like 13 to 17,000 views over just the last month. And that's just like, it jumped so much. Because after the conference, I got kind of a fire into my butt. I was like, it's all about execution. I was not executing. That was on me. And I finally got around to doing it, revamped all 3 of my channels, and all 3 of them now are like doing like almost 20,000 views, or at least 15,000 views, something like
that. That shit adds up, man. That's what people, I know, like, I talk, like, my world revolves around virality, because that's what clients in my world want. Like, and there's always the argument, obviously, not all viral is good viral, but in most cases, like, we're doing the content. So it's like, I would say that the viral we get is always good viral, because we're using their words and, making it happen. But for an average person, if you're averaging like 10, 20, 30,000 views a video, like, and you're posting like 3, 4, or 5 times a day, that shit adds up.
Yeah.
And it compounds on itself. And that's another thing, like right now, like, TikTok's like kind of in like a weird place, I feel like, and for context, it's May of 2024. shit changes all the time. So I just want to put a date on this when I say this. But it's like, man, all my new videos are like shit in the bed. But then I'm like, but my account's still getting like 2-3 million views a month. And I'm like, what the hell's, where are these views coming from? And it's like videos posted over a year ago are getting like 400,000 or 500,000 views a week. So it's like, same with YouTube. We've seen videos like, I have an interesting story with YouTube when I first started posting. Cause when I started posting, like it was just TikTok, and then came Instagram Reels. And then but TikTok had already ventured to like 30 seconds and Instagram started at 15. So like a lot of them, like when I started, I wasn't posting everything everywhere. It was just if it made sense. And then there was no YouTube, and YouTube came in later with YouTube Shorts.
Pretty late too, yeah.
Yeah, and they were late to the party on that. And and then YouTube still is only at 1 minute. But we added it up. Like I posted 189 videos to YouTube Shorts before the first one hit 1 million views. And then after that, I've had probably, I think, well, there's almost 59 million views on my YouTube channel. So like, I mean, that 59 million is probably dispersed across like 15 videos, like, so it's, and it's grown almost 50,000 subscribers, so it's like, just keep posting.
Yeah. Good advice. Let's get into the questions here. What got you started as a content creator?
Yeah, so like I shared at the beginning, I was a professional. Before that, I was working at Lowe's Home Improvement. I was a door and window salesman. I was really good at sales, and I saw myself working at Lowe's for basically the rest of my life, and that scared the shit out of me because I didn't want to become that person. And I basically went even though I have no problems with Lowe's, I really enjoyed retail. I really enjoyed Lowe's as a whole. It taught me a lot of skill sets that pay me today. With that said, I quit. I burned the bridges. I quit, and it was right at the time when I was an amateur BMX racer. I had went to the Grand Nationals. I had qualified. Basically, if you get top 3 in the final at the Grand Nationals, you're eligible to go professional. I was given the option. I got second place. I was given the option to turn pro, and that heavily weighed on my decision to quit Lowe's. And I cashed out my Lowe's 401k, which was around $14,000. And, because I worked for Lowe's for almost 8 years at the time. I was like a career Lowe's person, and I'm trying to get my timing right. So after I quit Lowe's, I went full in on the BMX. I realized really quickly I needed to make money, like very fast. I was like, shit. So I started training people on the side because I was obviously good at riding my bike. So I was helping other BMXers get faster on their bike. And then I read a good friend of mine, Elliot Hulse, who's a massive YouTuber. He recommended a book to me because we become friends because he lived here in the same town as me, called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I read it. I learned about passive income when you sleep. I came up with the idea like, yo, I want to make a DVD that teaches BMXers how to get faster on their bike. My dad was a videographer. He knew how to make DVDs. So I begged him, told him we were promising we'd get rich forever, if he'd make me this DVD. And, he's my dad. So he said yes. And, we created a DVD, and I started selling a DVD out of my backpack at BMX races. And after about a couple months of doing that, some lady I say some lady, like, she's like, do you have a website? And I was like, if you go to this URL, www.ryanmagin.com, on Monday, there'll be a website there, and you can buy my DVD.
That's smart.
I had no idea how to build a website, and it did not happen on Monday. It took about 2 months to get a website going, but it was like, and this is when you had to code, so I was,
it was what, 2009, something like that?
Man, it was so long. I'm 41 next week, and this shit was like,
birthday.
It was just so long ago. And but I did it. I taught myself how to code by reading books at Barnes and Noble about coding. Built a website, put a PayPal button on it, and I expected everybody to come to it and I would get rich. Didn't happen. Realized really quickly you needed this thing called traffic, which was, nowadays we call it attention, and traffic was people clicking on your website. Well, to drive traffic, I then did the only thing I knew how to do was, I was like, well, shit, I have a DVD. And there was this platform that was kind of getting popular at the time. And it was actually not YouTube. It was Vidler, because Gary Vee was an investor in Vidler. So Gary Vee was recommending Vidler. So I listened to Gary Vee. I regret that thoroughly. It should have been going on YouTube, but I posted a video a day on Vidler of me just sharing a tip to get faster on your bike. And mind you, there's no social media. Like, Facebook was still for college kids, and parents specifically were sharing this, and they loved my videos. Sponsors started happening. I started getting paid more to travel the country to ride my bike. And I basically self-funded 2 or 3 years of a professional BMX career off of a 1999 BMX training DVD. And all of this is still on the internet. If you type in Ryan Magin BMX Strong, like you'll find videos of me. And that just, I eventually burned out of that, and I just basically quit BMX
Yeah.
altogether. I realized I was never going to get rich doing it. I wasn't the greatest professional. I was too good to be an amateur, but not great to be a top high paid professional. I was just too good to be an amateur. Like, so a lot of athletes fall into this. It's like I can compare it to
Mhm.
like you're a Division I scholarship, college athlete, and you fail to go in the NFL. So it's like you're too good to do anything else, but you didn't quite make it to there, or you get on the practice squad and you make
Yeah.
very, so yeah. So I quit and I turned to affiliate marketing, and I took my same video making abilities, and that, I just started reviewing fitness products, and I started selling affiliate
Mhm.
offers on ClickBank, from like dick pills to like workout programs to you name it. Then that led me to affiliate marketing, and I did very well with affiliate marketing for a little while. But it wasn't until I started on YouTube after discovering men's style and fashion did I really say I became a creator. I was one of the first ones on YouTube to basically tell guys what to wear to get laid. And I only did that because my current wife, like we had broke up, and I needed to
Mhm.
reinvent myself. And I found a few style channels on YouTube. I started watching all their videos, and I was like, man, like I'm single now. I want to go out and get laid. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I was like, and so I started using their advice, going out, and sure enough, I was having success with women. And my friends were started asking me, "Hey, can you help me get dressed? Can you do this?" And I was like, "Ding, ding, ding." So if you search Ryan McGinn, handsome guy, like you'll find all my five
On the nose
yeah,
there.
500 style videos, and I did really well with that. But I eventually quit that because I got back together with my now current wife, and we had a daughter, and I was like, I do not want to be considered a pickup artist for the rest of my life. And I found,
Set a good example.
yeah, and I just, not that I felt like I was doing anything wrong, because I'll never delete it. It's all there.
Yeah.
I wasn't being authentic to myself because I wasn't going out every weekend anymore. Like I wasn't going
Mhm.
to buy outfits to go test them and see how girls responded because I had a girl. And so making these videos became I didn't believe in them anymore. Even though the information was still
Well,
valid. Like,
right.
so, and then that, fast, then that led me to Instagram, and then Instagram started vertical video, and I was like, yo, I'm pretty good at this shit. And then TikTok, and now I'm a creator.
I don't know if you feel this way, but I miss IGTV.
I do. IGTV was good, man. I had higher hopes for that.
Yeah.
Like, I missed the initial pop of stories because I used to.
Yeah.
I was heavily inspired by, well, Casey Neistat's always been a huge inspiration since the vlogging, but I was never naturally great at long form. Like, I'm good on podcasts and stuff,
Mhm.
but like making long form videos was always harder for me. But I got really good at like vertical, and like when Instagram stories, like I grew my first 10,000 Instagram followers because I would take a small section of my day and I would vlog it. Like it could be something as
Mhm.
stupid as taking my daughter to get a cup of coffee with me, in her stroller, and I'd make it look cool because I would film it with a high end camera and I'd edit it for my 15-second Instagram story. And I was inspired because Peter McKinnon was growing really fast. He had a friend, Jesse Driftwood. He was doing these stories, and I'm like, yo, those are dope. So I started doing those, and I
Yeah.
grew my first like 10,000 Instagram followers. And then sure enough, people started paying me to do those for them. And that's what kind of ultimately led me to eventually finding, well, the pandemic happened, and then I found TikTok, so, but I was already very skilled at vertical video because there is a
Yeah.
difference. Like, operating framing in a 9:16 and also condensing messages and stories down to like 15 seconds, because that's all we had back then was 15 seconds.
That's hard.
So I do value that. Like I didn't make a whole lot of money from that, and it was like kind of a stressful time in my life because the fashion business was doing pretty decent. It was over six figures for me, between YouTube sponsorships and like digital product sales. And basically, obviously, when you stop uploading, that doesn't last very long. But I didn't again want to go back to that, and I was kind of in this weird place, and I found vertical video of all things, and I was like, yo, I'm pretty good at this. And thankfully, I can now say it's made me a millionaire. So it's just like,
Yeah.
and that's gross. I don't have
Well,
a million in the bank. I always like to say
yeah.
that, but
True. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, so that's kind of like what got me started. It's funny because my dad's always edited videos. My dad's always been a videographer. My dad actually was putting cameras in automobiles and planes before GoPros were invented. So I've grown up around cameras, but I never ask my dad to teach me. And that's not because I didn't value it. I just, at the time, I was not interested in it. And by the time it came, I think by osmosis, I just knew everything to do because I saw the stuff that he did. And I was like, so it's kind of a natural progression. So that, and it's funny because like I ask him for advice on editing here and there, like, but he's so, I like to fuck with him. He's like old school. I'm like, Dad, you got to change. You need that ADD, attention span editing. You don't got it no more, but
Oh
yeah,
no.
that's what kind of made me a creator. And I like to consider myself a creator, even though I'm heavily direct response marketer influence. Like I've read every book by Dan Kennedy. I've read all psychology books, influence, master, all Robert Greene's books, Neil Strauss. I mean, because what a lot of people don't realize is that getting good at talking to women makes you really good at sales, and vice versa. If you're good at sales, you're really good at talking to women. And I rolled in that world for a very long time.
Even of a bouncer kind of thing too.
Yeah. And then even with Lowe's, like I was cold approaching customers day in and day out to make commissions off doors and windows, so it's like I got really good at sales and psychology and persuasion, and that is what I do in my videos a lot, so.
Couple things I wanted to mention is that 15-second video of you doing coffee with your daughter, I think that while you did it for a different reason, it's going to come back 10 years, 20 years from now and be a really great memory because you and your daughter can now like look back on that and share that memory again together.
I did it for almost like, because I like you said, I was heavily influenced by Casey Neistat, as many creators were. He, what I admired about him was that obviously that dedication. And I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do one a day. And I think I did like 400 days in a row. And eventually I did burn out and I didn't make near as much money as Casey did. But I have a hard drive full of memories and they're all like in my iCloud too, because they're all posted on Instagram. So it's like, yeah, it's really cool to see that. But it's like, and I always look back, it's like, man, I wish I kept going, just for those memories. And like, that's why it's like, I'm really happy to like, like my career path has been documented, Vidler to YouTube for BMXers, YouTube for teaching guys to dress better to get laid. And like, I even started a hobby GoPro channel at one point. Like all of my like, milestones are public on the internet.
There.
Yeah. So it's like, it's pretty cool.
I was going to say a lot of those links are in the description for people wanting to check them out. Yeah. And what's interesting too is that you and I have a philosophy where we don't believe in deleting our old content. And there's some people who do, and it just drives me bad. He's like, no, those are all doors to you as the creator. Don't delete them. Don't close those doors.
Yeah, I believe in like, and I'd say this to the clients, like, and I sometimes I ain't gonna lie, it can bite us in the ass, but like, if I said it, like, I'm not ashamed of it. There are instances where I'm like, yeah, probably I was a little angry that day, or like, man, I don't know if I was in the right headspace on that interview, or, but still, like, I don't regret saying it. I've only deleted one video, like from I deleted it from Instagram and TikTok. And I only did that because it was too much for me to handle mentally. It was getting a lot of hate. And I had just recently, I don't even talk about this, but like 9 months ago, my house was destroyed by a hurricane, and I didn't realize how much it affected me mentally until it was almost over. And I tried throughout the process, because I still, my company was still running. I have 15, contractors.
You had to work.
Yeah. I was still having to travel to speak. I was still having to make videos all the time. Like nobody would have known like that I was like even dealing with that unless I posted it. And I just made a few videos like talking about what it was like, and there was a lot of anger that came out, and it didn't translate well. I mean, thankfully I posted that one video, and I did delete it or privated it, like, whatever, just because it was too much for me to handle. Like I didn't disagree with what I said. My editor did a bad job at editing it, which is why I'm so passionate about editing, because I think that it's like the gatekeepers to like, editors don't understand how much power they have. And I don't think they should be treated like slaves, but their editors' mindsets, they don't think properly to be able to succeed, at least from my experience, because they don't look at people as brands. And like the way that what was cut out of the video was negatively impacting me as a brand. And I was like, I can't have this. So I deleted it, but that was the only one. I was like literally one video. And
that's a good reason to do it though. Like not wanting to affect your mental health kind of thing. That's and
Yeah,
especially if someone's commenting negatively, and maybe that video would have been better if raw or something like that, maybe not edited or something,
yeah.
but it's
It
just one of those
just
things where hindsight.
it didn't need to be 59 seconds. Like it needed to
Yeah.
be about 3 minutes. Like because like I mean I even like I was tearing up part of it, and I don't regret that.
Mhm.
Like I don't regret filming it. Like I'm gonna make a video here, honestly, from my contractor that helped me a lot to build my house. I'm gonna include some of it in there, but like it was the compounding effect of like the negative comments that were happening. I mean that was like a whole thing of like dealing with like because a GoFundMe was started for me, and I'm very open about my income. Like I mean, I my YouTube channel, I literally almost start every video with proving how much money I make, and I like
Mhm.
log into my account, which is like people are like holy shit, but people don't understand that perception of just because I'm making this doesn't mean I'm keeping this. And there was a GoFundMe started, which I didn't start. It was started by two people on my team, as a gesture of kindness, and I was getting beat up for it, like because I have provably made millions of dollars doing what I'm doing, and it was like all of a sudden I was not human, and I just like it's
But you
like
put that back into the business though, like
oh
that.
yeah,
That
like, I
I
mean I
mean, it
spent
makes clear. It's clear sense to me. Like,
yeah, because you're a business owner,
yeah,
so
yeah,
and it was just
explains
like
it.
I mean I had like a few, probably 3 to 5 specific people that every video I posted after that was like, "You're a grifter. I can't believe you would take money from your fans," and like, "What a piece of shit! Like, you don't need any help," or like, I don't know. But it was like that leading up to me posting that video about it with a lot of pent up anger, and I don't know, it just didn't come out well.
Well, no, I think the point is more so it's not about you making a mistake or anything like that. It's more about the fact that you are being raw. And since you are more of an editor by heart, not just by trade, but by heart, you grew up with it, editing is what you normally do. And so by you exposing yourself more like that, to open yourself up to people, and then people being kind of negative back in response, whether it was right or wrong, they were still being negative to you. That hurts because you finally opened, not finally, but you opened yourself up, and then it hurt when they
Yeah,
responded so negatively.
and it was an interesting social experiment, which I don't want to call it that, but it helps me like process it. Just seeing how people
Hmm.
react, like with what people portray on social media versus maybe what is the reality, of like what somebody is actually going through. Because I don't really believe in like I believe in being authentic on the internet, but like I'm not going to post my bad times. Like I don't want to see anybody do that. I understand, but I know that it's a give and take. I know that not everybody's happy on social media, but like I don't want to see them posting bad shit about them. Like, it's like I'm not going to social media to be depressed. I'm going there to feel happy and like be inspired. So it's like it definitely for me it was just like a lesson in like wow, once you have a perception, specifically like if people think, when people find out you make a certain amount of money, completely changes their perception of you and how they think and how they react. And it wasn't until that moment that it become real to me. Like, oh,
Hmm.
I am different. I'm, so it was, I learned that looking back, I'm like, glad that happened because now I'm more aware.
Hopefully your perception gets a little bit more open down the line. People understand that you're human, that things happen in your human life. One thing I'll mention to you before the next question here is that Derek Severs, an author I really like, he came up with this idea called the Now page.
Mm.
And given how like he kind of thinks of it as like a page on the website that just changes every month. I kind of took it a step further and made it into a blog series and then eventually a vlog too. It's the only vlog I do. The first of the month, every month I do a Now page update. And essentially, the concept is a personal and professional update of what's happening in your life every month. And I find it really fascinating where it's like, I don't really do it for anybody right now, but I do it for either for myself to look back on 80 years from now or my kids or grandkids to look back on. And if someone is interested in my life right now, they can go check out a monthly vlog saying, like, here, this happened to me. I got deathly ill last September because of a conference. I got Legionella. And I got
Yeah.
like technically I could have died. And like I don't talk about that a whole lot, but it's one of those things where that threw me for a loop there.
Yeah, no, I can see how it would. So you post these publicly?
Yeah, so I post them on my YouTube channel, despite the fact it kind of throws off the flow of my channel. Like I have my solo videos and the interviews, but then every once in a month I do those, and so it kind of throws off the flow a little bit. I think, but to me, I think it's important because it's part of my personal brand. It's part of who I am.
Yeah, because I've thought about like I don't know to what level, but doing like every day. Like I don't like to write. I'm not a writer.
Mhm.
Like I can, but like it doesn't excite me to wake up and write, like, but I
Mm-hmm.
could just sit here and turn my camera on and talk. And I thought about doing like a daily vlog, daily thoughts
Mm-hmm.
per se, as like a video journal of myself. But like, dude, it terrifies me to like, because I, I have a very abrasive kind of way of speaking. It's part of what's made a lot of my videos do as well as they have, but it can be taken very wrong, and I've had to work on that a lot based on the fact of like I'm a leader, in my company, like I'm the face of this, and I represent 15 people that work for Viral Edits, and like I have to deal with these
Mm-hmm.
personalities and I have to talk to them a certain way, but I'm a very like blunt guy.
We
I'm
have to
like,
be blunt.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like, you
exactly.
suck right now. You don't suck always, but right now you suck, and we need you to get better. Like, so what do I need to do to help you get better? Because I can't have you sucking. Like, so it's like, but I've thought about doing that, and that's fascinating. I think like it takes balls to do that, so that's impressive. But like,
Thank you.
I'm like reserved on that. Like, oh man, but I feel like it would be like to look back on.
I think that it's a great idea. Sorry to interrupt. That it came an
No,
idea where I was talking to somebody where he's like you, or his TikTok is very optimized, it's very focused, and the videos he makes is just very like on the point, right? There's no room for his kind of like off the cuff rants or ideas and that kind of thing. So he decided to make another TikTok, and I know you have at least a few different channels for yourself already, and then I'm sure you have plenty of different profiles too. And it's
mm,
one of those things where maybe that could be what you could do, where you could just have here's a more raw version of me,
yeah, I like that. I might start. I might try that.
Ryan Raw.
I need it. I'm like I
Yeah.
love constraints. So I'm like, I need it
Mm,
to be 1 minute, and I need to do it every day for 90 days. And like, I love, like, that's what got me started on TikTok was the 15-second constraint. And I was like, I can film and edit one of these in 1 hour a day. And like, I'm going to do that until I get 100,000 followers. Like I love,
maybe you need like a reverse constraint.
yeah, probably right. I can tend to constrain everything. I'm like, how do I just, it's also too like, how do I make it really hard for myself too? Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't edit it at all. I have to speak it perfectly the first time. Like I'm like, oh god, I'm fucking retarded. Like, why do I do this to myself? Like, yeah.
So the next question here, it kind of fits right into what we're talking about. Out of the three pillar content, written, audio, and video, you mentioned how you don't like writing, so that's a good point there. What is your favorite to make?
I mean, it would be video. I've
Okay.
always one of my I would call him a mentor, but he became a friend. Elliot Hulse. You guys can look him up on YouTube. He's a very eclectic individual, but he was the first person to really start in the fitness industry, and he started by just standing there talking to a handy cam. And one thing he taught me, which is pretty much a deep rooted marketing principle, was like, you're never going to make as much money unless you look people in the eye, or something to that nature. Like, you need to make eye contact with people. And he would
Mm,
burn like I make it a point when I'm on podcasts. Like, I know I could be looking down at you here, but I'm looking at my lens. Like, when you make videos,
right.
you
Same.
speak into the camera, and that's a person. And so he kind of taught me that, and that's always been like, I've just always loved that, because it's like you can fake writing to a degree, you can edit it, nobody knows, but once you start speaking, the real you comes out. Like, it's the ultimate differentiator of like, who's actually an expert, who knows what they're talking about. It can't be misinterpreted for the most part. Like text message or writing can get, you can say one thing and it's a joke, but it offends somebody, and you're like, but if they heard the tonality, they'd be like, really, come on, man, you're being like, yeah, that's kind of stupid. It's like where, if I wrote, you're just being stupid on a text message, it's like, all right, man, you're being mean to me. So I just think that in my opinion, it's just the most authentic, and you can't fake it. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I guess you could now with AI in some degree, but I think humans will win out on the authenticity aspect, and we're seeing this play out across, all the platforms. People love that raw, authentic, and not so much like, they just like hearing from real people. Like, what are you going through? And that's always fascinating. Plus, I think it's the easiest. Like, it takes me less time to speak for an hour than it does to write for an hour, and I feel like I'm going to say a lot more.
Well, first and foremost, I like how you mentioned the whole eye in the camera thing. That was a skill I had to learn when I started making YouTube videos, and it's one I tried to teach myself early on,
Mhm.
because making eye contact, like you said, is so important. And there are those like NVIDIA AI apps that allow you to, like, if I'm looking here, it moves the eyes up there. There's also the Elgato teleprompter, which helps, I guess, in some ways too. Yeah.
I mean, there's like, I mean, and again, like it's hard with like, because with screens, like, especially if you're like blogging
Mhm.
or even your phone, like you're used to looking at yourself, but you like look at the actual lens, like, so it's like, but, from a money perspective, if anybody's ever planning on making money from their videos, you gotta burn through people's souls with your eyes, like, because it's trust. If I meet you in person and you shake my hand, you look down, like, come on, man, like that's weak. They I
I'm pretty
need to.
sure when met you, I shook your hand and looked you directly in the eye, and it
Yeah,
wasn't even like on tint. Like it just this happened naturally.
yeah, that's just what you should be doing. It's like, but we live in an
It's just
age
like,
where people kind of, I don't want to talk shit about the generations, but like we're
yeah.
very into ourselves on our phone. We're not, like, we're avoiding
Mhm.
social interaction by also being the most social. Doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, it's just as good skill, especially in sales. Like, shake somebody's hand, look them in the eye, talk to somebody, even women. Like,
Mhm.
if you're looking to, if you want to build attraction with a woman, look her in the eye. Like, it's like, it just seems
Yeah.
like, but Elliot did it, it was just inspiring to see, because I watched him just build this loyal following of people that they listened to his words and loved what he was doing. I was always inspired by it. Like, I want that. I don't know what I'm going to get that around. But at the time, I got that a little bit when it came to fashion and style, but I think I have that. I'm getting that now with the amount, like with making videos and virality, and but it
Mhm.
takes time to build that up. So it's like, but I just think that that's but I do think writing too, on the aspect, like audio has always been like I've never really cared too much about audio, because, like,
Right now we're doing audio
yeah,
technically, but
and
we're still
we're
on
on
video
video,
too.
so it's like, but with writing, like, one of the things that I did a lot of when I was, selling my digital products with the fashion business was, like, I was doing email copywriting. So I wrote an email every day from myself. So I got good at writing, basically, as a personality. And I think that that transfers over very, very well to speaking on short videos, because, like, I kind of consider TikToks like email subject lines with context,
Mhm.
because if you've ever written a marketing email or read a marketing email, the subject line is the hook, and then you just say what you got to say. So it's like
Yeah.
that, so I would say that I'm a very short, punchy writer, but, it's just, I would much rather just talk.
I love that question because even though you're a video creator, you have experience with all three, and it's just interesting to hear your dynamic. And one thing I was going to ask you too is that I just recently hired an editor after the last conference because I was like, I need to have somebody. This is the one step of the process that I can't keep doing. It burns me out. It's something I need to delegate. It's like I'm decent at it, but I don't enjoy it, and I enjoy doing the research and doing the recording, but not so much that part.
Yep.
And I hired an editor, and I had before I got this light bar that I'm using. I had an interview a week or two ago where I let the curtains open, let the sunlight in, and normally that's good. But for some reason, the sun was just like the clouds kept changing the
Yep.
lighting. So over the course of the video, it changed like 5 times dramatically, and it
Yep.
kind of ruined my shot. And so I had him take over, and it was one of those things where he did kind of not the greatest job on the color grading. I mean, he was using CapCut, which is there isn't much you can do in
You're
that.
limited.
Yeah, but I don't think I was a dick to him. But I was like, we need to do better than this. I'll still pay you for it. I'm going to take over from here. Here's some like tips to help improve it, and here's like a comparison to what I fixed in DaVinci Resolve because it has the color grading.
Yeah.
And I think he got mad about it because it was through text. It wasn't like I wasn't talking to him like we were talking about. So I was curious to see if you have any ideas of how to make sure you convey the ideas without sounding abrasive.
Yeah, I mean, we've tried a lot of things, because, I mean, just for context for everybody listening, like I said, I have roughly at any given time about 10 editors working for viral edits. I have multiple levels of quality control that, separate a video from getting edited to getting posted. And my
Mhm.
quality control is like extreme, based on the fact that we're posting for some of the biggest social media accounts on the internet. So I think if you're working with what I would deem regular people, you don't need the extremes that we go through. But one thing that I found, it's in hiring editors by nature right now are not great storytellers, and I know that's probably going to offend some editors, because I don't think people in the industry realize what happened with video editing during COVID. A lot of
Mhm.
people had never edited, like my whole team, except for my leadership team, which I have 3 people that are like upper level, that work for my company. They've edited thousands of viral videos, like million view plus videos. So they are the quality control for my company. All the editors underneath them, which coming from different countries, even America, my entire team had never edited a single video before COVID. All of them lost their jobs during COVID or to some degree shortly after COVID. And then they found the Hermosi reel and they learned how to subtitle. And then they became video editors because that is what a video editor is considered today. And yes, there are YouTube video editors, which I would put YouTube video editors miles above people who consider themselves short form video editors, mainly from the fact that they understand stories. And there's also this sense of entitlement that when you give feedback, which you obviously did, I mean, we use Monday.com. We tried doing Loom, but because we do such a high volume, Loom was taking way too long and we had to go to text because it's faster. We found that certain editors, because it's so subjective, right? Like, what a good video is, or I mean, in your case, exactly what you said, and you kind of have a vision for what that video is going to be even before it's edited, because you're speaking in a way, and then the editor gets that file, and then they watch it, and they should be watching the entire file all the way through before they edit a single part of it, which you will find most editors do not. They just start editing start to finish immediately. They watch the full file, they're going to get a vision of that video. So right now, they're probably not the same vision. So you're already clashing. And then the third step is they send the video to you and you react to their video, and so you know what you want it to be, and it's probably not exactly perfect. And what I found is you have to, at least myself personally, you have to relinquish control about 80% and be like, look, this isn't going to be as good as what I want, but I don't want to do this, and I need to pay somebody else to do this for me because that's what's going to make my business more money. Knowing that, it gives you a little bit of freedom to be like, okay, this doesn't need to be perfect, but it's also the way it's probably framed. We try to frame and hey, you use the hook from 217 to 221. I just think that was a little bit weaker. Let's try this video with the hook from 305 to 315. Here's why I think that works. And then so it's almost like a teaching, but not like an advance, just like, hey, this is why, So I think it's like a teachable moment, that it does soften the blow a little bit. Because if you're just like, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, or this, or this, or this, the editor's like, oh,
come on, dude.
Justin's such a jerk. He fucking hates me. So I've just found that. And also some shit you just got to kind of let go. And that's hard.
This was a video that was really crappy too. It was a great interview, but just the quality of the camera, the quality. We weren't using Podcastle either. We're using Wave Room, which had crappy colors and stuff like that. The cameras weren't good. It's
yeah. I mean, so in those cases, it's just you just got to kind of I always I want the structure to be good. Everything else is secondary. If the video has a point, the point is articulated well, meaning that they put in the right clips or they put in the right pieces of the video to make this a complete video that has a beginning, a middle, and then a conclusion. That is just storytelling 101. I'm happy, but you'd be surprised at how often that doesn't happen. We, of the videos, so my editors, they get paid. I mean, it varies. The overseas are anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 USD per month, which is very high. And my quality control, which is my, and this is where people they don't understand how businesses operate. Just because money is coming in, it's also being spent. My quality control, which is, both of them are between $6,000 to $7,000 a month, which is almost six figures, with bonuses, which they do get bonuses if they do things, in excess, and we hit view targets and stuff like that. And even my editors get paid with a bonus incentive of $100 for every million view video that they edit. And for context, my company edits between 30 to 50 a month. So it is a significant, it'll add an extra $1,000 to their bottom line, and I found that that's one good thing too. If you are working with editors, I have found that they love security. As far as most of them are freelancers and they hate asking for money. So if you pay them on a cadence every 2 weeks and they have a set number of videos to do, they take solace in that. And I've burned through a lot of editors. I paid them a lot of different ways. And I've just found that my people have stuck with me for almost 2 years. And I know for a fact it's because they know that paycheck is going to hit. and that's my responsibility as a business owner. I pay them like every 2 weeks, first and 15th. Like I use an automated payment software. So it's automated. Their bonuses are hand delivered because they need to be tallied and calculated, but they're on a salary basis and it gets hit every 2 weeks. So I think that is because your editor, he's also not investing a lot into you if he thinks it's like a one-off thing, and that, again, editors are very short-sighted. I don't think they think long-term. I would much rather take a lower price per video with a longer term type of situation and more incentive if I really focus on helping you get results with the videos. And
like a bonus every like week or two,
yeah,
something like that.
like we do the $100 per million. And I've tried just strictly performance based editing, and it just becomes a nightmare to track. As in, like, I'm not going to pay you anything, but if the account gets a million views a month, I'll pay you $1,000. Or if it gets 2 million, I'll pay you two, So it's like, I've tried that before, but it gets very messy at scale when you're working with, if you're with one editor, you could probably do it. And the right editor will like jump at that. And I base that pricing off of like, on TikTok, if you use the creativity fund, for every million views, you roughly make $1,000. Like, so that's the market rate for 1 million views. If you want to know what that is on YouTube, YouTube has CPM or RPM. Same thing. You can kind of calculate what 1 million views is worth. It's significantly lower on short form than it is long form YouTube, though.
And I will say that the other out of the dozen videos he's done, like all the other ones were good, and it's all long form stuff too. And so like it was just this one video that was already kind of a crappy experience in the first place because of how it was recorded.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to be like a dick about it. I was just trying to like, hey, here's what we need to do and improve for future ones. It's okay. Like, I just want to make sure it comes out really well.
I always like to preface, if I know I'm going to be kind of harsh, I just try to soften the blow. Hey, man, I'm not trying to sound like a jerk here, but I do take my videos very personal because they represent my brand. And again, I think that this is a disconnect between video editor and creator across the board because editors just don't realize the power that they have. I hate to use this as an example, but if you look at politics as the example, you can edit somebody to say anything and you could destroy them.
And now with deepfakes too, it's even worse.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of responsibility with being a good video editor. And that's why I do think editors should make money. I don't think it should be low paid. I hate that it's a race to the bottom because there's an overseas country that'll do it for cheaper. I have overseas editors, but they're heavily monitored by American editors. And the reason being is that they don't understand American culture. And I don't care how good a Filipino editor is. He doesn't know what's popular on Netflix right now.
Editing in general as a content creator, it's different for every content creator. It's different for every type of content too. I wanted to ask you, I guess the next question here too, no less, is what tools, considering this is like Poly tools, this is like what the channel's about, all these really amazing tools, and I wanted to talk to the creators as themselves. What tools do you use for creation and repurposing?
Yeah, so I guess my biggest used tool is my notepad on my iPhone.
Yeah.
So I found that I have to consume to also create very well. And when I'm not consuming, I'm not being inspired. And you got to be careful with this because you don't just want to consume. So it's like, so I spend if I had to base it, probably 5 days a week, I'll spend, let's say, 30 minutes a day just surfing one platform. So it could be my For You page on TikTok on Monday, Wednesdays, YouTube Shorts, Thursdays, Instagram, Fridays, Facebook. But the idea is that, and I'm doing it because if I find myself watching a video, I stop, I click on the profile and I look at the video and I see how many views it got. Every time I do that, they usually have 1 million views. So it's like I'm training myself to identify 1 million view videos because I need to be able to recreate them. And this is not saying I'm coming up with scripts or anything. It's just you see enough things, you can articulate them when you talk and like, oh, I remember that one video, like it kind of went like this. Let me try that, or like, and I like to do it for all the platforms because we're ultimately making one video and dispersing it everywhere. So I want to up my statistics on like what video does well on individual platforms. But our hyper focus is TikTok because if it does good on TikTok, it tends to do good everywhere else. So that's like the front end of like And then when I get video ideas, I just write them in my notes. And I actually have like 3 or 4 people on my team. We have shared notes that we're just always adding ideas, and like, don't ever run out of ideas for videos. Like, I know Mr. Beast said they come up with hundreds before they film one. So it's like, same thing with short. Just always have
I have
them.
a whole 1,000 on my list. Like,
just make it easy for you to film videos, and then also have shit set up as best you can, ready to go, so you don't have to fuck with it. Like your camera, your lights. Like I'm fortunate. I have a studio now. We have multiple sets, so they're all pretty much set up. I just pick one and I sit down and I start talking. If you just have one set, do your best to, because when you put barriers in the way of creating content, you will fail over time. Not every time, but over time. And then the next tool would be, I use some softwares. Like Buzzlytics is really good. It sorts any account by million view video. There's a couple of them that do it. Talk Audit's a good one. We tried making our own, but we kind of failed miserably at it. But again, look at creators that you follow, creators you don't follow, and look at their top view videos. And not always like of all time, but also in the last 30 days. You need to know what's working currently. I don't recommend you pay for services that send you lists of what's working. Like, that shit's easy to find. And I find enjoyment in the research process. And then it's like, I don't edit much anymore. I do have, being that I'm like, my monthly expenditures on editors are like nearing $50,000 a month. So like, it pains me to know that I have to edit if I'm paying that much for my team to edit for me.
Yeah.
But if I edit, I don't know how to use Premiere Pro. I learned on a software called ScreenFlow, which is like the most basic software. And now I use a mixture of ScreenFlow and CapCut for desktop because my editing isn't complicated. I'm very good at cuts, zooms. I know the basics really well, and I stick with that because I don't want to be known for like crazy edits, because also I know if the editing gets harder and harder, then it's going to cost me more on my editing. And I'm not going to be able to put out as much, and then beyond that, it's like, editing software, ScreenFlow, we'll say research, Buzzlytics, looking at the platforms.
You said you like to have constraints anyway. So by having those more limited editors,
yeah, that is why the subtitles, became to be, because there was no automation. You had to do it word by word. And my software was so simple, like ScreenFlow, like it's a brain dead easy software. It's still current to this day. Like I still use it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a side account I'm editing all my videos on for fun. I'm using ScreenFlow.
Yeah.
And then I think for softwares, like, obviously like Opus, if you need help finding clips, Opus also does captions. Submagic is really good strictly for captions. Like I have subscriptions to both. I'm not really partial to one. It's just whatever. I'll just run that through Submagic, or I'll do, it's like, it's really that, they all kind of do the same thing now. But also one thing that I do, which is manual, we have a bonus tracker, and I want to actually hire somebody like a VA for like $5 an hour to like go through accounts and like manually like list out, like, actually I can show you my bonus tracker. So this is, something that anybody can kind of make this on their own. Like you could probably pay somebody $5 on Fiverr to come up with this, but this is like, gold to me. So this is all the videos in my company since the beginning of last year that we have made that have gone viral. So we do a link to the video, we do the title of the video, what platform. Obviously, if you don't have multiple clients, you don't need the client. When it was posted, when it hypothetically went viral, this is kind of like a guess to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
I also have who edited it, because I said we do bonuses. Was it a timestamp? And then has a bonus been paid out? Obviously, you don't need all that if you're not doing that. But this is like, and what I like about this is and this doesn't have to be, this is only for million view videos in my company. I would like to do where I have like 100K plus as well, but I just don't have the time. But this, when you start getting, like, let's say in a month you post 60 videos, of those 60 videos, statistically, like 10 of them are going to do better. And if you looked at the 10 of them in like a list fashion, you can look for commonalities and topics and things that are working. Like, we go back here. They're about to update it for this month, my team. But like, if we look at April, like these are all the viral videos, 4 pairs of black Air Force Ones. That's a shoe video. CIA spy, 4 things you can do to slow down aging. Celebrity talk about jelly roll, 100 push-ups. So a fitness video did well, and slowing down aging did well. my son doesn't take care of my Bentley. That's a parenting video.
Mm-hmm.
Any homeowner can become a millionaire. It's a real estate video.
Common subjects.
Yeah, you're just looking at like, what's working, and these are like, this is real time data.
Yeah.
And for us, this is, I said, and if you're just starting out, like you could do this just for 10,000 view videos. If you're not getting a million yet, and then look at, oh, well, these videos got 10,000. Let me, what can I do to improve these?
That's fascinating. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I don't think people do that. And again, this is like, I had an employee that worked for me that set this up, but like you could just, this is a basic Google Drive doc, but you got to be diligent. Like you got to manually input it. Like it's effort. Yeah. This has made me a lot of money.
I was going to say, I could definitely see you translating this into like Airtable or Notion and making the database a little bit more functional when it comes to like relations and rollups, and then even having like automations with Zapier to connect to other sources, so that way some of the data could be inputted manually or something, automatically. I mean,
yeah, I would love to actually figure out how to make this more manual or more automated. But what does work here is, because I manage a lot of editors, this forces them to keep track of their videos as they're getting posted to account. I treat it like a sales team and their commissions. Like sales team, you keep track of your commissions. Mm-hmm. Same thing, like my editors keep track of their views.
One thing I wanted to kind of touch on too from what you said is that we're both systematic thinkers, and like the way you were talking about watching and analyzing, I think it comes from your systematic mind. And I find it fascinating too when you're just watching these different platforms, seeing the little meta changes. I think I told you before, I've been on TikTok since 2018, and I saw those different patterns, and not just trends, but just patterns of behavior. One thing I find really fascinating right now is I'm going to be going into Pokemon YouTubing on my gaming channel. So I watched a lot of Pokemon tubers to like see what they're doing. And I'm going through shorts. And now the YouTube is doing vertical streaming to shorts. And what's really fascinating is that these PokeTubers specifically are streaming horizontal and vertical to YouTube at the same time.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's cool. Now I'm fascinated. Like, I love that, like, Pokemon. This is where, like, I get a bad rap, at least with, like, because like I'm considered an anti-niche guy. Like, and that's like, even clients can be pushed back on this all the time. But like, Pokemon's a niche, technically. Yeah. But it's a massive niche, like, and like we have, like, I have, like, one of my clients is the Credit Brothers. They have 1 million on TikTok. Like, they become friends. We work with them for over 2 years now. They're like, yeah, we really, we want to do more of like, the expert-based content, not so much of the broad reach. And I say, guys, like, let me just put something in a perspective for you. Me as a guy who's like literally always trying to get as many views as possible, right? That is my goal, because my account is a business card. If I'm getting views, I am confident to help you get views. With that said, if I go, I want to make a viral video today, a video that I might make, and they're like, what? I said, top 4 credit cards of 2024. I said, you want to know why I'd make that video? I said, 1, it's already gone viral for you guys 3 times. And 2, everybody has a wallet. Your niche is broad reach. That's where I think people get twisted. Like Pokemon on a grand scale, it's like, how many people play Pokemon? That's got to be tens of millions.
It is the biggest media franchise in the world, bigger than Star Wars and Marvel combined.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people, so it's like people get twisted. So it's like, it doesn't surprise me that, like, oh, that makes sense. Like, that there's people going through that much effort. That's the thing too. It's like I'm a believer in like focus on one platform. Like, everybody needs one platform to get to 100,000 followers. And I don't know why 100,000, but like, people treat you differently when you hit 100,000 followers. Like, the big one is it's, in my opinion, it's still easiest to get that on TikTok. I think a second would be Instagram, and the most prestigious is obviously YouTube. But I found that 100,000 followers on Instagram, you will make more money. It's just a given, so, but just, when I see people get started, I'm like, don't like focus, like, 'cause I just focus on TikTok, and TikTok's my biggest platform. It's like almost 300,000 followers. Like, Instagram is my second, YouTube's my third. And that's only because I think I just haven't posted on YouTube as long. It's in the hierarchy, it started, YouTube was late, so there's like 2,000 videos on my TikTok, same with Instagram. Just something to be mindful when people are starting, like, and like live streaming on a vertical, like, I bet there's not a lot of competition for that.
There's not. And that's why I thought it was so interesting. Like, it's really only the PokeTubers that are doing it too, not even other gaming YouTubers.
Yeah. Like, you got to look for loopholes, man. Like, if you're listening to this, like TikTok for me was a loophole. Like, I had, and same for you. Like, it's like, you got to get in earlier somewhere. Like if you're really late, it's hard. Like, and you're late to TikTok now. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you're late to YouTube Shorts. Like if like I think that there's like merit in just focusing on YouTube Short. I mean, but then again, you're making a short video, put it everywhere else, and it's gonna grow. But like when there's new things emerging, go in on them. Like doing an Instagram account of all carousels, I think is a smart idea. Like because
Yeah.
they work. And if somebody approached me like, hey Ryan, like let me take all your videos and make them into carousels. I'm gonna start you another account, and if I get you, I'm going to see if I can get you 100,000 followers in the next 6 months. To do that, I'm going to charge you $2,000 a month. You cool with that? I'm like, wait, I don't have to do anything? Yeah. Where do I send the check? Like, sign me up. Send me a payment link. Like, because that's opportunity. And that's getting really good at one thing. Like I work with a lot of high level clients, and they're like, I don't believe in diversification. Get rich at one thing, get good at one thing. For me, it's short video. Like I
Yeah.
don't mess a whole lot with long form. I could start a long form agency. I'd probably be really good at it, but that's not my zone of genius. And I think I'm still, I only know of one other guy, Josh Ordonez. I believe you guys met him at think Grow with Video Live as well. That is working with the level of clients that we are. He's very similar. He's not charging as much as us. Like we charge more. I'm glad we became friends. Like I don't know anybody else doing it, and he's all short. Like everybody else that I know is making higher incomes, is like diversified to a degree, but their retention is shit. Like they just churn clients. So I know there's a little tangent there, but like, you
It's
know,
okay.
you got to find that opportunity and go all in, and it might not pay out, but it might pay off big. And that's,
I wanted to distill what you said though, because it's building me up now. I'm like starting to almost explode with it because it's interesting. My whole other show is about being multidisciplinary, right? And so you talking about the anti niche like struck a chord with me. It's one of those things where that's kind of what I'm talking about. I kind of think of it more as like a meta niche though, where it's transcending just one topic, and your personal brand is the meta niche, and from there you have sub brands that you market differently, but they are different niches, and that your overall meta niche encompasses all.
mm-hmm.
But one thing you were mentioning there was focusing on one platform, and I think that's a very interesting duality or dichotomy to it, where like yes, you might be talking about many different topics, but you are focusing on just one platform. Like right now, I'm really just focusing on YouTube. Like Instagram can be, I'm just kind of going with the wind with that. But like
Yeah.
YouTube, that's where I'm going to be going.
I mean, eventually you need all of them if you're going to succeed as a
Yeah.
personal brand, but like you're not going to grow all of them at once, and they're all not going to grow at the same time. I mean, I've seen that happen with some big creators, but they already had a lot of momentum elsewhere. Like they were already big on one platform. Like, and you see that now with YouTubers that come to TikTok. If they put effort in, out of nowhere, their TikTok is usually equal, if not greater, than their YouTube following very quickly because they have a recognizable face. And
Yeah.
that's, there's a lot of, I mean, one guy that I do vibe with is Dan Coe. He's about the only person that shares, I believe, a similar view as like what you just shared, as well as like when I think of social media, I think of like people. I don't think of companies. Like yes, like companies are on there, but like I don't want to be like, I don't make much content that like helps people edit videos better, even though like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you listen to this podcast, I don't know that anybody would argue that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. you know
Yeah.
Most of my long form is that because people ask me on podcasts. So when I do long form, that for me is just like, I'll vomit out all the shit that I know isn't going to get a lot of views on short form. But all my short form is just designed to get a lot of attention because I want that recognizable face. Like Gary Vee doesn't talk about how to build an agency or a media company. Gary Vee talks about garage sailing and the New York Jets and, Jordans and culture and rappers. Like, but Gary Vee, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the highest paid media companies in the world. Have you ever seen Gary Vee say, here's how to join my media company? No.
Yeah. No, that's not. Yeah.
Like, you look at, and same thing with like, and Dan Coe breaks things down really, really well. You are like a byproduct of like 5 to 10 different things. Like for me, it's like, I love style and fashion. I love editing videos. I love going viral. I'm really good at running a company, or at least I'm trying, you know. So I'm technically a business owner and I've generated millions of dollars. So I clearly have an expertise in that. I'm also really good at lighting and sets and building a studio. I'm also really good at being a dad. I'm good at being in a relationship because I've been with my wife, fiance wife for 14 years with like a 1 year hiatus, and I'm like, that seems to be working. So it's like, when I talk about that, it's like, why would I not talk about that on like my Instagram? I just think people get stuck in that, and they're like, and I also do think, and I'll stop ranting, but like people try to monetize too soon. And if you allow yourself to build a recognizable face, and I'm saying like for me, it's 100,000 followers. If you get there, I think it's like you earn the right to sell. But if you're selling at like 5,000 followers, yes, you might sell one or two of something, but you're not going to make a full-time living on it. And if you do, it's not going to last, because in working with the biggest clients, people like Cardone and like the Petersons and like these massive people, the conversations are never, Ryan, help us make money with our videos. It's always, Ryan, we want to be everywhere. Get us everywhere.
Right.
So when the biggest people that everybody looks up to, that is the conversation that they're having, I don't listen to anything else, and it's ironic, but the less that I talk about making videos, the more money my agency brings in, because people just see me all over their feed on every
That micro
platform.
influence.
Yeah. And then in a long enough time frame, they're like, yes. And if you go to my page, I allude. Yeah, I don't not post videos of like, I'm starting to post more businessy videos, and I hate it because I know they're not going to get views, and I'm like, ugh, it makes me so angry. It's like 80% of my content is designed to just get as much reach as possible, and the rest is like, this is what I do, to make money. I know that was a little rant there, but like I love the facet of like, just people need to be people on the internet, and eventually, if you are a person that's remembered, people will buy from you. I want to know the woman who owns 7 coffee shops. I'm not going to remember which specific coffee shop I want to go to. Like I would love to see a day in the life every day of the CEO of Starbucks
and see what their schedule's like.
Yeah, like like I would love to, see. I mean, it's like what does an employee at Chipotle do every day? Like it's like those things. Those are people. Those are gonna. The more I see an employee of Chipotle, I'm gonna be reminded to go to Chipotle.
You are a good business owner because you're trying to constantly improve. And Dan Coe is building up his audience because we are kind of in this digital renaissance, this digital era, and you have to be a generalist in order to adapt to all these changing platforms, all the different new skills. Like you said, you had to do all these different things to be a creator. And so being a generalist and highlighting that is the whole point of my other show, is like highlighting your generalist principles. Maybe I need to have you on there too. But the idea of that meta niche, or just being in this generalist age, is like you have to be multidisciplinary in order to be successful in this field.
Yeah, and I think that there's still lies being told around that. I still just think it's like, yes, the easiest thing for someone to do is to talk about what they're getting paid to do. But if that's all your content is, like, I use an example. I'm friends with Ryan Fisher. He runs Chalk Performance, big fitness creator. It's got an amazing app for for workouts. He has one of the biggest fitness communities on an app, like millions of dollars. And he's like, I still don't understand. Like, I don't understand why somebody, and he lives a very interesting life. Like he's in Japan right now. Like he's traveling around, like he's documenting it. He's like, why do people care about that? I said, look, like you sell a fitness app and you have one fitness program, which is full body aesthetics. That's like his main thing. It's full body workouts. I currently do CrossFit like religiously, but I'm not going to do CrossFit forever. I'm going to take a break from CrossFit and I'm going to try full body aesthetics, and I'm going to do that for 6 months to a year. And when I do that, I'm going to buy his app. I'm going to use that app for, let's say, 6 months. And I'm like, man, I'm bored of this program again. I'm going to go back to CrossFit or try something else. If all his content was based around full body workouts, why do I even need to watch him anymore? I'm not interested in that anymore. But what I am interested in is when he makes a video about, I worked out in a $4,000 hotel gym in Japan.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Because that's what he did. And another one is like, looking for fat people at McDonald's in Japan. Like these are his personality, like paddleboarding with my girlfriend in Orange County. This is my 1968 restored Bronco. Like, this is the bike that I cycle with. Like, those are things I'm interested in. And when I said that to him, he just kind of clicked. And I said, that's how you keep people watching you forever. Like, they
Your
are following,
personality.
because, when they're done with your program, they have no reason to follow Ryan Fisher anymore. But they
Yeah.
will if he was a dad and he had good advice with his kids, or and this is like, obviously that can fit for any person, but I just think that is what is not being realized right now.
And even on the show and the other show, I try to, as a host, try to set you up for tangents because your personality is what I want to show and highlight, because you're an interesting person. That's why I have you on, right? It's because I wanted to know who you are. And you were like, oh, I'm going on a tangent. It's like, no, that's good. Like, we want more of that because it's getting into the nitty gritty.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I just think more people should just make, and it should be fun making videos. Like, I do believe in that. Like, videos do better when you have fun creating them. If they're forced, they don't do as well. I'm not like a spiritual person, but if I have fun
It's
making
got
a
that
video,
potential.
it does well.
Makes you feel good. Couple
Yeah.
more things before we wrap up here. I have a question here. What is your favorite story that's happened to you as a content creator?
I've been traveled. I don't know if that's the right word. I've been paid to go to some really cool places and work with really cool people. An example of this was, I've spoken in Germany twice. I have really good relationships with people like from the other side of the world. That to me is just really cool. I would have never had that opportunity if it wasn't for me making videos. Another thing was, because of my videos and the clients and like the word of mouth that we have, is I get to film with some of the greatest fucking minds in the world. And just because I'm filming them, it's like, it's crash courses in their brain. And I learn so much. Like, an example is Nate Barger. He's a real estate guy. He's one of our clients. He's growing really fast right now. I didn't really understand the whole. I didn't understand fractional reserve banking. I didn't understand how when the wealthy are like, we don't pay taxes because we borrow against our assets. You hear all these things, and a filming session with Nate, and I understood it, and I know how to do it. I didn't have to pay him for that. Like, he paid me to come ask him questions for that. Same thing. Like, I have an NDA that I can't speak of the clients publicly, but in the 4 to 5 hours every time that I filmed with them, like, has helped me make millions of dollars in my company. Just that osmosis and the small conversations we've had between videos, or what we had when we went to dinner. I think videographers specifically, they don't ask enough questions, when they're filming. And I think that's a huge perk of the job that is worth so much. Like, in Nate's example, he broke down, like, I want to buy another property. He literally pulled up my neighborhood for a video. He's like, here's the houses I would buy in your neighborhood. Here's what I would offer them. Here's how I would structure it. Here's what I would say. And I'm like, why the fuck would I go do this? Like,
Yeah.
and that was just one video of hanging out with him yesterday. So it's just like those things. It's like, and all people have interesting things to say, and that's one of the things that I think is, like, I've remained very curious in my content. That's one of my strengths, I think, when it comes to, and Luis helps me a lot. You met Luis. He's like, always stay curious. Like, we're always reminding ourselves to be curious, and even if that means asking dumb questions for the sake of asking dumb questions, like, it leads to really clear answers. Because I ask questions. I don't script my videos at all, but like, I force people to go dumber, like when I say, like, I don't really understand that. Can you explain that a little better? Like, like, what did you mean by that? Like, and again, these opportunities, and it's all from just being able to be in videos with people and film them. But I think that's the greatest thing about that video has brought me. Yes, I could say money, like, it's changed my life. Like, I'm
Right.
not, I'm not looking, I'm fortunate right now. Like, I put a big down payment on my house. I was able to remodel my entire house after it got destroyed with the hurricane, and I spent the insurance
That's
money
good.
and I added to it, and I've been able to build what is right now the perfect house for me and my family. My daughter is
Good.
able, I'm able to put my daughter, she goes to public school. Like, we live in a really great neighborhood, has an amazing public school that we're zoned for. But if she didn't, I could afford to put her in private school. but all of this has come because of my videos and my, like you said, like my obsession with the quality of like the views that they're getting, and then people recognize that, and also the length that we work with clients. Like I do not have a high churn rate in my company. Like my average client stays for like 2 years, so it's like, and when you have a company, I mean, obviously you understand that to a degree, especially if it's a service or like a recurring service. The longer somebody stays with you, the more money you make, always. Like, so that's why, like, I don't fear any other short form agency. Like, we're not even in the same like stadium, like, so that's, and that I'm grateful for that but that came because I was like, I need to always be getting views on my account. And that's like like me focusing on my videos and again, like, I mean, we can touch on it, but like people need personal brands. The only difference between me and somebody else, if I'm in, if I reach out, if I wanted to just cold outreach clients, and let's say, let's use The Rock as an example. If you were to, like in this case, it's like, let's take, an editor that's in the DMs saying I can edit videos like insert person. If he DMs The Rock and I DM The Rock, I don't know if he's going to open either one, but on the off chance he opens, he's probably going to open mine first because I'm verified. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can pay for that. Like, so you should, if you're a brand, you should pay for that. He's going to open it first. And then he's going to see whatever I say. And then he's going to click on my profile. He's going to see 100,000 plus followers. And if it's on TikTok, he's going to see 300,000, and on TikTok, he's going to see almost 13 million likes on my videos.
Right.
I just want
social proof. Yeah.
And then he clicks on the other guys and there's 0 posts on the account, and he's like, I win. So if you need personal brand, you need social proof in your favor.
Touching on something you just said a moment ago about the whole curiosity thing, the primary trait of a polymath is insatiable curiosity. And by asking the dumb questions, you are emptying your cup to allow yourself to absorb more information by someone who knows it better than you.
I would 100% agree with that. And as well as, I don't want to make the joke because it could be just misconstrued, but like, have you ever watched an autistic person ask questions? Like,
they break it down quite a bit. Like, why?
They just keep going on things that might not seem relevant, but like if you zoom out, it's like, wow.
That's smart. So yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if it, like, and again, like obviously there's levels to that. I'm not, autistic by any means, but they hyper focus on things. And I think that more people should do that. Like I saw, like, there's a viral clip was like autistic kid interviews guy in prison. I don't know if it was a parody. I haven't, like, I don't know, but he was just like, every time the guy, he's like, so tell me what the difference is between being in prison and your, $27 million home. And then like the guy would say, he's like, man, it's like, I had no idea that prison was going to be that hard. He said, every day we're just, it's very regimented. He said, what do you mean by regimented? Yeah. Like, oh, well, we have to like stack the trays after we eat. How many trays do you have to stack every day? Like, it's just like, and it makes for sometimes it doesn't, but like it makes for such interesting, and that's kind of a mindset we have now. We call it the annoying kid framework, which is like, imagine you're talking to a kid who's annoying, and we've all dealt with that as adults, when he's like, I don't believe you. Why? Tell me more. Tell me how that works. Cap, like, like I don't trust you. Like, so it's like, you have to put yourself in that mindset of being curious.
I teach swimming, and so sometimes kids are like that, and it's like they just keep asking more and more questions. I only have one more question for you today, though, because I don't want to be that annoying kid. This one I think is kind of interesting because you've made thousands of videos about how to go viral and stuff like that. I wanted to ask you this instead. How do you stay relevant after going viral?
I think that's the hardest thing because it's comparable to a drug addiction. Like you're only chasing your next.
You got any more views?
Yeah. Many of our views are, I mean, I think also understanding, it's like, I learned this from Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom Podcast. He's one of our clients. He taught me that, and he said, make it, and if it does well, cool, but keep moving forward. So it's like, an example of this, which I found very fascinating for Chris, was when we first started working with him, all we wanted to do was kind of clip his Joe Rogan podcast. you would assume, and he's like, and he specifically was like, I was like, bro, there's so many good clips there. It's Rogan. It's got like, we should get every clip from that we can. And he's like, I did that like a month ago. It's old now. And I was like, at first I was like, that's stupid. But now I realize it. Like, you know, yes, he's going back and he's studying what does well. And I do that all the time. And I'm always trying to improve on the videos. But like when a video goes viral, just know it's going to end. And you got to make more videos. Like, so it's like, just keep going. And that also, you can't be attached to it. Like, and that's where I think people, you know, and that's hard because usually virality is a direct correlation with income. So it's like, not only are you needing the dopamine high of getting views, but you're also needing the dopamine high of making more money. So it's very challenging. And I don't know that I do it well. You know, and I don't know. I mean, I work with a lot of very high level clients, and I don't know that they handle it well either. But it is just a matter of like, nobody's relevant forever. Not everything is relevant. You know, not everything is popular forever. You know, videos are going to do good and videos are going to do bad. And it's just trying to be objective on like, oh, that did bad. Why do we think it did bad? Cool. Let's not get stuck. Oh, that one did good. Why do we think it did good? Okay. You know, but at the end of the day, like, we're creators for the most part. Everybody is. So I still want to make more videos. I'm not just going to end on that note, you know? So,
Right.
So it's like, you know, but it's also, that also creates this never ending hamster wheel of like,
More.
you know, and it's hard because social media judges you like heavily. I hate when like I'd make a video, because whenever I make a video about going viral, it never goes viral. So all the comments are like, this video's got 1,300 views or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, can you not just look at my account and see how many fucking views it gets? Like,
I want to interject here because the way you're talking is making me think that you are the Mr. Beast of short form content. Mr. Beast focuses on how to make every one of his long form content do super sniper well and super optimized, like let's go viral on each of these. And he does that. But he even mentioned on a recent podcast, like he doesn't know how to really do that with short form. And like the way you're talking makes me think that you are the person that's doing the short form.
I would, I mean, that's
That
a bit
like that.
bold claim. I don't know if I'm that cool. I'll take it. I'll take that. I'll take that title. It's very, it's difficult. Like, cause, and like I said, I've always, like, short form came natural to me. I don't really know why. But when it comes to the clients, it's just, I'm heavily driven by performance. Like, I just don't like doing things. Like, I would never be an agency that just promises consistency. You know, or like, we just make videos. Like, I don't ever want that. Like, I'm like, I tell my clients, like, if your account's not performing, like, we'll have a conversation about it. If I can't fix it, I don't expect you to keep paying me $10,000 a month. Like, I'm not a good ROI at this point. I don't know where to send you and who's going to do it better than me, you know. But I mean, it's like, we do, and I say we because like my team, like my core team, we're all obsessed with it. And I think that comes from like I know, like, I have a list of topics that I know will always get significantly more views, like car videos. Anytime I you can go on my TikTok account right now and my Instagram. Every video I mention cars, fucking the views will shit all over anything else. Why is that? Well, everybody has cars. It's a popular, you know, so it's like, I just understand the principles, and it's also not being attached. Like, I would love for me to make a video about a video editing technique and consistently be able to make that get millions of views. But the likelihood of that happening is not going to happen. But if I make a video of like something more opinionated, that is like a car based thing. Like, I did a video, got 500,000 views about, I mean, it'll be at 1 million, but that you can pump your car, you can put gas in your car while it's running. Like, it's a controversial take, but like, I just made that video because like, I've had times where I'm like, oh, I can't be the only person in the world that like, I have like 5 minutes to get gas. I'm not shutting my car off. And I know NASCAR drivers don't do it. Neither do Formula One. So, you know, like, this is like, and the video crushed. So it's like, it's also having a knack for like what culture wants to see, or basically what they're going to react to. Cause that's what ultimately all my big videos are, a very emotionally charged in the comments. Like, there's you either you're with me or against me. Like, there's a division. And I blame politics for this, COVID, all that shit. It made the world very divisive. I'm not going to fight it. I don't think it's going to be kumbaya anytime soon. But, you know, the more black or white you are, like, you can't be gray. Like you just have to be on the spectrum. And that's how Mr. Beast is with long form. Like there's nothing, gray or mediocre about his videos. It's, and again, it's just that performance aspect of like, I understand that if I'm charging $10,000 a month, which is what we charge for our high end package, to a client, they're not going to pay that for long if we don't get them results. So like I have a moral responsibility. I don't
Right.
I'm not just here to take people's money. Like, because what would that look like in 6 months on my reputation? Like the industry's not that big, so I guess that was a rant. But I obsess over it. Like if a client's account's not doing good, I get mad. I'm like, if
Right.
my account's not doing
It's
good,
your baby in that way too.
yeah. I'm like, why don't the editors care as much as I do? Or why can't I get the editors to see what I don't see? And like, I train my team 5 days a week. Like it's a thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that is a great point, and it's only making me think the comparison of you and Mr. Beast even more so. But it's a great point to wrap up here. Where can people find you online, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my baby's Instagram. It's my name, Ryan McGinn. My TikTok's Ryan McGinn with a dot, Ryan dot McGinn. YouTube is Ryan dot McGinn, I think. Or I mean, you can search me anywhere and find me. My Facebook, but I'm super active on Instagram. I don't have a problem answering messages. Like I get a lot, but I'm not at the level where I can't see them. But that's my connecting platform is Instagram. Like my focus platform, if people want to follow what I'm doing, my TikTok is where to pay attention.
I got the links in the description for you, and I prefer Instagram for chatting too. It's the best messenger platform too, to be honest.
Oh yeah, TikTok's got a long way to go on that DM platform.
Yeah. And then this was Ryan McGinn and Dustin PolyInnovator on the Poly Tools Creator Spotlight. Thank you for being here, Ryan.
Take it easy.
Oh,
that was great.
Fantastic.